Okay, I want to start today's video with a story. Now don't click off the video, there's an important message I want to deliver. So a couple of months ago I came to Horsham, which is where we are today, and I announced that I am writing a book. I think that was back in June maybe, might have even been May. Needless to say, it was a little while ago. And I thought that by now, the end of September, I'd probably have that book ready to go and out there. When I announced that I was writing the book, I'd probably spent a couple of days writing already. It then took me a few more days to write all of the text. I then sent it to various friends and people who proofread it and gave me some feedback, and then I made some amendments based on that. I even had a guy who's like super academic read it and give me all like the grammatical and spelling errors that I'd made. After a couple of weeks, I had all of the text finalized, and that was me ready. Then I decided I wanted to illustrate the book because I love illustration. I draw pretty much every day. Have done since I was a real little kid. So I took a few days and I illustrated and I illustrated and I illustrated. And sure enough, after maybe 3 or 4 days of illustration, I had all of the drawings I needed. And then all I had to do was digitalize them all, get them on the computer as PNG files. I then decided to make a front cover and a back cover and the spine. That took a few days maybe. And by, let's say, the end of July, start of August, I had everything I needed ready for the book to be put together. That's all that was left to do. What they call the formatting and the layout. Now, for whatever reason, I decided that it would be a good idea to do this in Photoshop. I'm pretty competent in Photoshop. It's how I make all my thumbnails. It's how I do a lot of the photo editing for my social media posts. It made sense to me to do it in there. Now, anyone that's ever run Photoshop will know that it takes up a whole lot of computer power when it's open, particularly if the document is big. And the book is like 170 odd pages. So it's pretty big, right? And every time I went to do this task to lay out everything, you know, make sure the text is where I want it to be, and make sure the paragraph titles are there, and make sure the illustrations are here, and blah, blah, blah. My computer would just crash. It couldn't handle the document being open. And it became one of those tasks where I just kept putting it off because I was just so fed up. Every time I went to do it, my freaking laptop would die. It would sound like a jumbo jet about to take off, and then it would just fizzle out. It became so frustrating that maybe for like the last month or so, it's just been one of those things where I keep putting it off. You know, there's spare moments throughout my busy schedule and I'm like, no, I'll do something else. Until that is, earlier this week, when it suddenly dawned on me that perhaps I didn't have to do it in Photoshop. That perhaps I could just do it in Microsoft Word, a computer program that doesn't take anywhere near as much CPU power or whatever it's called. So I did just that. I spent a couple of days on my book, and I'm stoked to say that I've done it. I've done it to the point where I've submitted the file for print. The book's on its way. Now I'm going to get some sample copies before I release it out there in the wild, but yeah, the book's here. So what's the moral of that story? What's the point in me telling you all that? Well, it's the fact that the answer, almost always, is right under your nose. You just weren't looking.
Remember busking down on Brighton Beach, summer afternoon in the August heat. Oh man, we had to make it work. Oh no, conversation from the swimming pool, leaning to the yard, you gotta see this through. Oh man, we had to make it work. Oh no.
So I've got another story for you about things being right under your nose, the answer being right there the whole time. It just seemed too simple, or you didn't even think of it because it was so obvious. When I first started busking, right, I didn't know I was going to become like a busker when I first started busking. I just went busking as like a one-off. I was making a YouTube video. I thought it'd be cool to try out busking in that YouTube video. And then during the filming of that video and in that first time busking, I sort of like all of the secrets of busking and all of the things that it can bring, they started to like unravel in my mind, and I started to realize that this was actually kind of a cool thing.
Till my fingers bleed on me. You had to make it work. Oh no.
But even then, I didn't think of it as anything more than just something I could do for a bit, whilst I tried to figure out the rest of my music career and how I was going to make this work as a job, how I was going to earn a living doing, you know, this, music, creativity, ARP. And for a couple of months I was just going down the beachfront in Brighton and just busking to sort of fill the time and also to get some rehearsal in. And it felt like the right thing to do, but I still didn't consider it like something that could make a viable income and, you know, actually keep me afloat in a long-term view. In my head it was still something I was just going to do for a bit until everything else figured itself out.
Hit all my sore fingers, natural manage, she got so mad that she's for free, the community. It means so much to me. Now there's nowhere I would rather be. Oh.
But it was in October, about 3 months after that, October 2021. And I was busking down on the seafront, like I said, maybe 3-4 times a week. And I had a bit of a meltdown. And me and my partner were walking along the seafront one October afternoon. And I just said to her, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And in the same conversation, I was telling her how I was considering becoming a Deliveroo driver. Because at least that would give me flexibility, you know, whilst I made YouTube videos and worked on music. And she turned to me in that moment and went, why don't you just lean into busking more? And this thing in my head clicked. I was aware of other buskers who were making a full-time living doing it. I hadn't spoken to them yet. They hadn't told me like their advice for doing it. But I at least knew it was possible because I'd observed them. But yeah, in that moment it just clicked. The answer was right there in front of me the whole time. I'd spent months trying to figure out what I was going to do and how I was going to make it work. And the answer was there. And sure enough, I led into busking and, you know, the rest is history, as they say.
Hanging out behind the club at the weekend, and it's too big and drunk with my best friend. Couldn't wait for the summer after autumn. Now remember that's the first time that I saw her. Oh yeah.
Although a common misconception that is happening these days is a lot of people are messaging me thinking I'm still full-time busking. Although I'm still busking as part of like my overall music career, busking has led to so many opportunities, like the theatre show I tour in, like the gigs I get, and then the busking, and then YouTube and Patreon and stuff. It all like molds itself into a career. So I'm not technically anymore a full-time busker. I don't feel like I can own that title, but busking is what led me here. So I still highly recommend anyone that feels like leaning into busking all in. It's certainly possible to do, and it's certainly a great way to launch your wider music career.
School, cause she's fat. I'm kinda nervous cause I think she'll overtake me. She's the one, she'll always be there. I gave her hand and I made it, I swear, cause I fell in love. Girl at the rock show, she said what? I told her that I didn't know.
Thank you. That's okay, no problem. I appreciate it. Cool. I appreciate it. And that's what the book's all about, right? Busking is the answer. The early chapters are about how to approach your first busk and keep going. And then the later chapters talk about how to make it a career. The latter chapters are all about how to make sure those opportunities find you when you're out there busking so that your wider career, you know, can happen. Whatever comes your way. But it won't come your way if you're not out there. And that's why you have to get out there, man.
I fell in love with the girl at the rock show. She said what? I told her that I didn't know. She's so cool. Stick it through the window. Everything's better when she's around. carry to a parents go out of town. Fell in love with the girl at the rock show.
I think that lately, for me personally, I've been feeling like every now and then I get caught up in where this is all headed. I think about, you know, what I want out of this journey. And like everybody, I get caught up in the idea that more is better, you know, more subscribers, more views. And, you know, how do I make this more financially viable? But I have to keep coming back to the fact that it will work itself out, because that's the way it's worked this whole time. All of the big opportunities that have come my way were never ones I sought out. They're ones that just found me, you know? And I had to be aware, I had to be present in order to see that those opportunities were there. And I think that the problem with always thinking about what's up ahead and where you want it to go is you can sometimes become so consumed and, you know, almost worried or stressed about the fact that it's not moving so quickly, or it feels like you're going backwards, that you miss out on some of the opportunities that are just right in front of your face. And that's why it's so important to not get so caught up in what's up ahead and whether you're going forwards, backwards, up or down, left or right, and instead focus on the here and now.
Like a fire in the marsh, you stop the birds up in the tree. Inside each other, baby, just like you and me. Oh, I think we found our calling. Now as the rest of the world is yawning, we'll all come by. Cause in the worst of times, you often find opportunity.
I heard a brilliant conversation the other day. It was with Matthew McConaughey, the actor. He was saying about how the best things always happen when he's focusing on effort, not outcome. When all of his energy is going into making it the best it possibly can be in that moment. So like if you're out on a bus, just focus on making the bus the best it possibly can be. If you're making a video, make the best possible video you can.
We'll all come by. Oh, like a fire in the grass is like the birds up in the tree.
Don't worry about what the outcome will be of that. Don't worry about what the outcome of the busk is. Don't worry about what the outcome of releasing your album is. Don't worry about the outcome of the song you're releasing or the video you're making, or whatever it happens to be. Just think about how can you make the best possible thing happen right here, right now. Because that, at the end of the day, is kind of all that really matters. The reward happens as you do the thing. Something I have to remind myself all the time.
Say you free when every day is brand new. Any day will do. You should make a new start. It's always up to you.
I think when you really think about it, the result of an experience is never what defines it, is it? It's how you felt and what happened during the experience that defines it. And when you think back in your memory to times, whether the result of those times were good or bad, it's all the same. It's just a memory, another like paragraph in the story of your life, of your journey.
Opportunity, so walk that party way late, and might say you free.
And it's just coming back to that reminder that there isn't a destination. There's nowhere to get to, nowhere to be, because you're already there.
Yeah.
Rupi Kaur, the poet, has a line in one of her poems that says, "We have been dying since we got here, but forgot to enjoy the view." You've got to look around every once in a while and take in the view, because if you don't, you might just miss it. And if you're really paying attention to the view, you might find the answer you're looking for was right there in front of you.
Peace and quiet. No. You can live in a van, take a flight out, escape the riot. So
It reminds me of the parable of the fisherman and the businessman. Do you know this one? Let me tell you the parable of the fisherman and the businessman. There was once a businessman who was sitting by a beach in a small rural village. As he sat, he saw a humble fisherman rowing a small boat towards the shore, having caught a big fish. The businessman was impressed and asked the fisherman, "How long did it take to catch that big fish?" The fisherman replied, "Oh, just a short while." "Then why don't you stay longer at sea and catch even more?" The businessman was astonished. "This is enough to feed my whole family. I don't need more," the fisherman said. The businessman then asked, "So what do you do with the rest of your day?" The fisherman replied, "Well, I usually wake up early in the morning, go out to sea and catch a big fish. Then I go back and play with my kids. In the afternoon I take a nap with my wife, and when evening comes, I join my friends in the village for a drink. We play guitar, sing and dance throughout the night." The businessman offered a suggestion to the fisherman. "I could help you to become a more successful person. From now on, you should spend more time at sea and try to catch as many fish as possible. You could sell them to your friends. When you have saved enough money, you could buy a bigger boat and catch even more fish. Soon, you'll be able to afford to buy a whole fleet. Set up your own company and open a production plant with a distribution network. By then, you can move out of this village into the big city, where you can set up a HQ to manage your other branches." The fisherman looked. "And what will I do then?" The businessman laughed heartily. "After that, you can live like a king in your big house, and when the time is right, you can go public and float your shares in the stock exchange. You will be rich." "And what will I do then?" the fisherman asked. "After that, you can finally retire and move to a house in a small rural village. Each day you can wake up early in the morning, catch a big fish, then return home to play with your kids, take a nice afternoon nap with your wife, and when evening comes, you can join your friends for a drink, play guitar and sing and dance through the night." The fisherman smiled. "Isn't that what I'm already doing?" When I think about the parable of the fisherman and the businessman, I think about the fact that as August Radio Project, for the last 5 years of my life, like when this all started to now, I have been the happiest I've ever been in life. And that's not to say I wasn't happy before or anything like that, but I am the most aligned with who I feel I should be. Does that make sense? Like, I wake up every day, I have freedom, I have autonomy, I'm making this work. It's a joy to do. Yes, sometimes it's turbulent, sometimes it's stressful, sometimes I have fear and doubt, but I enjoy the process of all of this so much that I feel like the fisherman sometimes, like, do I really need it to be anything more than it already is? And I think my answer to that really, of course, I think there's value in chasing goals. I think there's value in striving for things. But I think that the acknowledgement is, and the reminder that I have to remind myself, and the message I kind of want to get across in this video, is that achieving those things won't necessarily make your life better or even make you happier. Happiness is right there for the taking at any given moment. And if you're aligned, and I think especially if you're aligned with your values of what you want from life, and that for me is freedom and autonomy, and to be making a living through creative expression, through music, through the thing that I've been obsessed with since I was a tiny little boy. I think that's all you need. You just need that, because the rest is kind of just paragraphs in the story, man. That was £67.65 here in Horsham, just shy of 3 hours of playing. And this is where I feel like the fisherman, man. Like, I'm gonna go home now, I'm gonna work a little bit on my video, I'm gonna cook a tasty dinner, I'm gonna sit with my partner, we're gonna eat it, discuss the day, maybe watch a few YouTube videos. Like, what a freaking awesome life. Like, when I think about it, do I have more freedom and autonomy than like a major label artist who plays stadium? Do I have more freedom and autonomy than people who have millions of subscribers? Probably. Almost definitely. It's worth celebrating, it's worth appreciating. And it's definitely not worth getting caught up in all of the things you don't have. And to come back to the very beginning of the story, when you don't get caught up in those things, often the answers you're looking for, they're right in front of you. Alright, thank you for watching this one. I honestly appreciate it. And yes, as said in the earlier story, the book is ready. I am having some samples printed, so everything about the book I will put in next week's video, I think. Including, hopefully, the announcement of how you can get it. At least a pre-order of some description. Woo! Like this video if you did, subscribe if you're new around here. You can leave an online donation via the super thanks button. I do have a Patreon page for those feeling curious and maybe a bit more generous. And yeah, I have an album out, it's called Keep Showing Up. 10 songs by me, you can only get it from my website. No streaming platforms involved in this one. I really appreciate you. I will be here next Monday because I make videos every Monday. ARP, here to stay baby. Peace, love and happiness.